and away she goes. So, have some matches. We'll light that guy up. Let's get that out. Get a little smoky. Run that for a second or two, but once the mist will kind of start up and smoke clears, it's usually pretty clean. More minutes to warm up and ready to rock and roll.
Okay. So you said you got into doing this because it's a family tradition?
I guess that's kind of how I fell into it. My dad did it for, well, he started at Lower Fork area kind of the month I was born. And he worked there for, oh, I don't know, somewhere around 8 years or so. So he moved over to the maintenance crew at some point, and he didn't know how to blacksmith at the time, but he kind of bullshitted his way through the interview, and they gave him the job at Lower Fork area. And then 18 years later, I was looking for a summer job at during university. So I got a job there, and they were like, ah, you were blacksmith. So then I was like, yeah, we got to work on the farm. Now here I am. Kind of, I always say some people call it an addiction or a passion. I call it an addiction because it's kind of ruined my engineering career for the better, but still. So I'm just going to do a quick little, we'll do a quick little church key.
Okay.
Nothing too fancy. Crank something out here, just super fat. This is kind of the whole process. You get it hot, you hit it hard, and you quit when you're done. And now we just gotta wait for it to warm up.
So what do you make a lot of? What do you usually?
A little bit of everything. I always say you get us some steel wool, we can hitch a Volkswagen. But anything from this spring, we were doing a lot of architectural ironwork for railings and that kind of stuff. We've got a screen door, wrought iron screen door that we're working on. We've got the frame outside, and then just to kind of get ready before winter season. We're doing a bunch of the production stuff. We're small housewares, so like the cheese knives and the fire pokers and that kind of stuff. Just about a little bit of anything. One of the main things that we do, we're used to, well, we haven't done it this year, is we teach classes out here. Well, out in the hay shed, our teaching studio. And those classes usually run through the summer. It's just with this being 2020, we canceled it because you can't afford to have, well, when you work for yourself, you don't get sick leave. So
yeah.
We'll cancel them for this year, but we'll be doing it again next year. And we've got 8 forging stations out there, so that everyone's got their own anvil and forge, and then you're sharing vices. So we'll just neck down the handle here. And then we'll punch a hole in there. So this is kind of there's no different way of doing work in metal than they were doing 300-400 years ago. This is kind of the main way. It's the most rustic or coarsest way of working metal. So to do a hole, we'll just punch in from one side. And flip over and clear out the little slug. You can see there, we've got our little slot ready to go. We cleared it out through the hole, and now we'll stretch that open and make it about a 1-inch hole. So we'll grab another tool. Because the nice thing about being a blacksmith is you need a tool, you make the tool. It's not complicated. There's a lot of tools that I have in the shop that I've made specifically for one job. There's some tools in here that I've made to make a tool, to make another tool, to make a tool to do a specific job. So it's kind of the way you gotta do things sometimes. Alright. We're gonna drive this in and basically wedge that slot into a round. Or parlance is drift. So there. So you can see we've gone from that slot to open. Hammer this down a smidge more. And we're going to go for about a 1-inch hole there. One of my favorite forgings because it really shows how you can be plastic with the metal and how it can change as you go along. You're not dictated by the size of the metal that comes from the rolling mill, like most welders or fabricators or metal shops. We can push the material where we need it and get it to do what it needs to do. Just wait for this to get a little warmer and then we'll pop it in. I'll use this one. Let's use this one a little bit first. Oops. This just allows me to stretch it in certain spots. So I've got some thick spots and some thinner spots. We'll take one more heat, kind of make that a little more consistent all the way around. And this does the same thing as this one, it's just different size. The British call them Vicks, or North Americans call them horns. You can get anvils that are in various shapes. The one behind you is what we call a double horn. This one here is called a London pattern. All shapes do different things. There's not one of them is necessarily better than another. There are some that have attributes that are good for some aspects of metalworking. There's special farrier anvils, chain maker anvils, various shapes throughout the ages. The London pattern is definitely one of the winners as it comes to all-round use. Almost there. You can see how we went from that tiny little slit to a much bigger hole. It's I always challenge the machinists that I know to put a 1-inch hole in a 1-inch bar, and they always shake their head at me. 'Cause we just stretch the metal and then suddenly it's there, right? Okay. So, put that back in. Make it a little more bottle opener shape. And we'll do one more stamping. We'll be ready for Sunday. I don't know. Do you guys have any questions?
No.
No.
Where do you get your steel from?
Anywhere.
Yeah.
Sometimes Brunswick, sometimes Cape Cod. There's a bunch of steel suppliers. Same as any welding shop. Steel is pretty consistent nowadays. Just it's so standardized that it's not really an issue to get it. I mean, a lot of the tools I'm making I can make from old scrap steels. If I need like a higher carbon alloy or something special steel. I've been known to make chisels and knives out of old car springs and whatever, what have you kind of thing. Let's go there. Yeah. So that gives us the little tab. And then that gives us that ever so important church key shape. I'll give it a little bit of a bend here. And there we go.
Cools down faster.
Yeah! As they say, you gotta strike while the iron's hot. Sometimes it doesn't ever cool down fast enough, which is why we have the bucket of water. But here you go. We'll pretty up the handle a little bit here, but that's kind of the functional aspect of it. I don't have any beer in here, but
Yeah.
we can run a test. But let me do a quick little thing on the end of the handle here. I'll trim it off. We'll draw out a little bit and make a loop so that you can hang it on the wall. I don't know what you, but they always seem to be missing. So it's always good to have one floating around. need to be nailed down more than anything.
So do you do custom work or?
Yep.
Yep.
So a lot of the architectural stuff that we do, of course, is custom because everyone's house is a little bit different. We've done well, a little bit of everything. It's amazing what people will come and ask you to do. First put on the spot, I can't necessarily think of anything right off the top of my head, but it's everything from cooking implements to we did a lock hardware for a concealed door in someone's basement in Winnipeg. So it's like they have a hidden wine vault. You pushed a lever and the thing popped open, so a little bit of everything. So metal is, or iron is pretty, it's a pretty versatile material. You can do all sorts of great things with it. So, and it's relatively inexpensive nowadays. Just going to make this a smidge shorter here, so that we don't have to have all of it. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and we'll draw off just a small little chunk off the end and then wrap it up into a handle of sorts. And what I'll do is I'll do the first few blows here, but then I'll go to the power hammer there and I'll show you the power hammer as well. Let me just get this production stuff out of the way. Come to this. First few blows will happen here and then we'll move over here. And the power hammer doesn't really do anything that I can't do. The only thing it can do that I can't is do it all day long. I'll draw that out. You can do it by hand, but this will be something different to look at. So that just draws that out. You get a lot of people who are like, oh, that makes life go really fast. I mean, like, yeah, it also makes the mistakes go fast.
Yeah.
It makes more mistakes in a few seconds than I can. So now that we've got that drawn out, I'll put a little loop on it, a little curl on the end, and wrap it around into a loop. You might clean it up just a smidge first, though. Take one more heat. Hammer is a little more delicate. Okay, so one more heat and we'll call her done. Kind of a gray, kind of a little bit shinier kind of finish to it, but these are kind of a set of cheese knives that we kind of, you got your chisel and your, there'll be a string through there or through there. And so that's kind of some of the housewares that we do. There's the hooks up there. And lots of fire pokers. Unfortunately, we don't keep much in here because our stock is in the city at our house. But this is where most of the magic happens.
Okay.
We can, this is kind of, this whole area is the, what I call the sample board, or kind of test pieces that we've done for various projects that have either turned out or turned into other stuff. I mean, so that's like one of the barbecue forks that we make. I've got salad servers and parts for, like, this is the handle for a poker, fire poker that we make. Here's a similar fire poker that we make as well. So, I mean, they're all rusty because they live in here, but but I kind of get the idea of, where did I get that one from there? Of the type of stuff that we are capable of and do on a regular basis.
So if somebody wanted to get a hold of you or purchase something or whatever, they just go to your Facebook?
Email. Yep, you can come to our Facebook. You can send us an email, info@Cloverdale Forge, or find us on the Instagram and Twitter and all of those social media type things. We're on all of those, and usually I'm posting, used to be every day, but now sometimes 2 or 3 times a week. Just kind of what's going on in the shop and what we're doing on a regular basis, just so that people can have a peek in here. And it allows me to share what I'm doing, even though there's not a lot of room in the shop.
Good. Excellent. Good. Well, thank you very much.
No problem. Thanks for coming out.